People say, how did you start a 6-figure coaching practice a year and a half ago, with no clients, no skills, no nothing. And now 18 months, you're here. Make that make sense, But it's because, again, that's how I started it. And I started right out of the gate, high ticket.
All right, guys, welcome back for another episode. I'm here with Mitchell Osmond, and man, didn't realize we are both connected through Calgary, which is where I met my wife, and that's where you're at now. So this is a Western Canada edition of the podcast. And dude, I want to kick off with a little bit of your background because I love to ask this question to start the podcast, which is, what was the problem that was so bad in your life that you put so much effort into solving it that you're like, oh, I think I can help other people do this now?
Dude, I thought you said we only had like an hour, man. We need a weekend together for this. Yeah, man, I'll try and give you the Cole's notes. But basically, dude, so I came from, this is probably a story that you've heard from many other coaches. I came from a dysfunctional upbringing. Father was an alcoholic. The home was, marked by abuse, drugs, crime, you name it. And I grew up with a bit of a savior complex and just determined to hold everything together. And so grew up, thought I had it all processed and dealt with. And then I got married. And then all of that came back out and started to bleed into my marriage. And we were married for about 3 years, and it all just kind of hit the fan, dude. And so there's two really turning points, I think, for me that people ask, what were those pivotal moments for you? The first one was a fight that we had, and it was like one of those now or never fights. And I was like, you know what? I don't think I can fix this anymore. I think this has gone far beyond what I can do on my own. And it was a conversation about having kids, and it was like, well, we're not bringing kids into this. What, are you crazy? And so I went away with this feeling, and it was bad, dude. Like, it was real bad. We were on the verge of divorce. I was in a senior leadership position for years. That had always made a lot of sense to me. I always felt powerful at work, and then I come home and I feel powerless. And that's, a lot of what I talk to my clients about. And, got fired from the senior leadership position, ended up gaining 50 pounds, $100,000 in debt, on the verge of divorce, medicating with alcohol, weed, you name it, trying to just kind of cope. And so coasted along that way. And then just 2 weeks after that, the second point was a funeral that I went to. And I was asked to sing at this funeral for this philanthropic man who had done just amazing things, like a couple thousand people at his funeral. And I was sitting there, and the minister at the time, he had asked a question that kind of shook me. I was strapping on my guitar, getting ready to sing. And he asked the congregation, he said, are you living a life worth imitating? Right? Or are you living an imitatable life? If you were to die tomorrow, would you be proud of the life that you lived? Or would people want to imitate your life? And I thought, man, dang, if I left this church and got hit by a bus, nobody would want my marriage. Nobody would want my bank account. Nobody would want my body, my health. They would say one thing. They would probably say he struggled, and then it was over. If it were my funeral that I was sitting at. And so, man, honestly, the next day I woke up, and it was just one of those pivotal moments. On my Instagram, you'll see like a before and after picture. The before picture was literally that next day. I strapped on a balaclava, and because in Canada it gets kind of cold in the winter. It's like minus 20 degrees Celsius. I tried to run a 5K. I made it about 250 meters and puked. And, it was brutal. But I took ownership of my life at that point. And yeah, man, so within a year and a half, we paid off $100,000 of debt, totally restored the marriage, lost the 50 pounds, got clean, got sober, and people just started asking, what did you do? Like, you're on fire, bro. And I just started helping people, man, like friends of mine, helping them get out of debt, helping them grow closer to their spouses, their wives, all that. And another person challenged me. Actually, it was about 18 months ago. Somebody challenged me, said, if you really want to inspire people, if you really want to help people start a podcast, I'm like, wow, that's for influencers, man. That's not my thing. So I started the Dad Nation podcast, just sharing the principles that I've learned over the years. and what was successful, how I had seen success. And of course, started picking up, and people started following from around North America. And then the DMs came in. Hey man, could you, like, do you have anything to sell me? Can you coach me? Could you, whatever? And I was like, sure, figure it out, right? And so started coaching men who were in my position, who are high performing men who wanted to reclaim their home health and happiness without sacrificing the career success. Just people who wanted to level up, who wanted to be more connected to their spouses and to have more intimacy. How to eliminate that self-limiting belief, the imposter syndrome. You name it. And lose 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever. And so started coaching them. And that's kind of how I started. That's a bit of my whole journey, man, and how I started all of this. And it's been about 10 years. It was about 10 years ago. No, it was 7 years ago when it all hit the fan. And I started this a year and a half ago. So it's been fairly quick from start of like the podcast and the coaching to now.
Man, that's a very relatable story. And I mean, as you know, that's how we are connected, because it was, different things along the way, but the same sort of pain point, which is like, oh, I'm going to take the kids back to Canada and leave you, by the way, as we were traveling. And I'm like, wow, I really suck. And so I can relate to that. I can relate to just so much of that. Like, man, everything's like so good from the outside. And on the inside, you're just like, I should probably not even be here.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's very relatable. And I'm super pumped to hear that you got through that and are now using that story to help people. Because that's, at least for me, that was like, I can't believe it. I went through that for a reason. Imagine that. Like, God brought me through that. And here I am being able to help people. So I'm really excited when other guys do that in this space as well. Was it obvious to you to start a podcast and to start coaching it once people did that? Did you even know like what that was at the time? Talk to me about like why podcast first and what that looked like.
Well, I like to say it was all very intentional, strategic, and thought out and planned and structured.
Sure.
It wasn't, dude. It wasn't at all, man. It was just like I had a mentor. So part of my journey was I looked at and this is what I coach with my clients. I call it the P5 framework. They're looking at the 5 people that, looking at the 5 areas you want to grow the most in your life, and really kind of finding mentorship or accountability in those 5 areas. So for me, it was in my fitness, in my finances, in my marriage, and my spiritual life, and my emotions. And so I was surrounded by these 5 men who called me to a higher standard. It was like my ceiling was their floor, and they held me to the standard that I said that I wanted for myself. And those were the men who challenged me and said, you cannot not share this transformation with others. In fact, and I'm a believer, but they had said, like, if you really want to do greater work and to have God use you in greater ways than you can do on your own, then start sharing your story. And, and I'm sure any coach listening has dealt with this. And this is really like the imposter syndrome. It's like, well, why would anyone listen to me? Why? That's ridiculous. And see, a little bit about my background was, I was told that I was the dumb one. Well, my sister was the smart one, my older sister, right? And so I grew up just kind of thinking, well, I'm not smart. I work hard. I'll outgrind, I'll outwork anybody, but I'm not smart. So, I mean, I wanted to do this 3 years before. I didn't have the stones to do it. So I just started writing out concepts and, all that stuff for 3 years, dude. I have like literally hundreds and hundreds of pages of content and theories and stuff that I sat on until I got the courage, because I was still trying to break through this whole, this imposter syndrome. And so for me, yeah, that was how it kind of started. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, totally. The question that comes to mind is, how did you get 5 guys that you trusted around you?
Yeah, man, I just asked myself, who's got, and it's real simple, who's got the best marriage in my life that I know of, right? Who's got the best body, right? Who's in the best shape? Who's got the most money? Who's the most chill? Who's the most like even keeled, right? And who seems closest in their faith, their strongest faith journey? And it the thing is it couldn't be somebody from Instagram or somebody from YouTube, because there's too many layers of separation. It's got to be someone who's in my circle, or at most a friend of a friend, because that psychologically tells me, okay, that's doable for me because I know them, right? They're in my sphere. And so those people not only gave me the steps, but just because they were within proximity to me, showed me that it was possible for me as well. Does that make sense?
Totally. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I think that's just one of those things that a lot of people have heard, or the average of the 5 people, whatever. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, think about my friends. It's like, when was the last time you intentionally just went, I need to be around you and you and you and you? And if you're just like, if you're legitimately looking to learn and you're humble and you're struggling, and it's like, hey man, you've got this one thing I want. And if you put in the work and do what they say, which I think is important, like if you actually go like, yeah, I did this thing and it worked, they're like, oh, okay, maybe I'll spend some more time with you. So I think no matter whether you're struggling in marriage or whatever, this isn't, podcast for that, but it's like, maybe you just need this in your life. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
your entire life will level up and you can give that to your clients anyway. Okay. So when it came to coaching, high ticket immediately, did you even know about coaching as a business, or was it like these guys tell you, you get these DMs, you're like, $1,000? I don't know. Like, what did that look like to get into and how's that evolved?
Yeah, man. I think one of the advantages of spending time around other guys who were way further ahead than me, one of the things that they taught me is that you don't know everything and you don't know what you don't know. And so always be humble and open to that. And so I think one of the advantages that I had coming out of that was that I was like, I don't want to sidestep. I don't want to make like my journey from podcasting. I mean, I didn't know jack all. It was very loose, and I fumbled a lot. And through that whole journey, I had learned I want to be very strategic and surgical about every decision that I make. And so for me, I was like, I want to do it the best way I know how. So I just saved up money and I hired a consultation company, a coaching company to help teach me some of those skills on how to craft an offer, how to take a sales call, how to run paid ads, how to build an Instagram following, how to handle objections on sales calls, all those different things. And so I invested a decent amount of money from day one before I even launched the practice. I did the whole curriculum. I was a part of the community real time as I was strategically creating the company. And so that was one area that I think I had a bit of an advantage because people say, how did you start a coaching practice, a 6-figure coaching practice a year and a half ago, with no clients, no skills, no nothing. And now 18 months you're here. That doesn't make sense, but it's because I got the right people around me. Now this time it was a paid thing. It wasn't just buddies of mine. You know what I mean? So that's how I started it. And I started right out of the gate, high ticket, and one-to-one. And fortunately, as these things play out, you learn a lot and you pivot. Even with me getting a bit of that, I think, advantage, I still, within 6 months, I was like, okay, I need to change this because number one, I'm overwhelmed with one-on-one clients. I'm going to burn out like stat. So that needs to change. All my lead flow is coming from Instagram, which freaks me out because if they shut down, I'm screwed, and there were a few of those things where I was like, okay, I have to not go deeper down this hole, but go wider. And then I was losing track of my time real quick. And I began to, it was just the new handcuffs. You know what I mean?
Totally,
there was no
yeah.
more freedom. I just displaced it into something else, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely relate to that. And it's same sort of thing. Podcast launch. Actually, my podcast launch was, it's funny you said, you sat on this for a couple of years. And mine was like, I started almost too soon in a sense, but it was for a similar ridiculous reason, which was some other guy in the space that I wanted to be talking in was like, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. And I was like, stupid as I was, like, oh, if he starts this podcast, nobody's going to listen to me. So I got to be first. So at least they listen to me first and maybe they'll stick around. But it was that same sort of like just wrong mindset that accidentally made things work out the way that they ought work. And for you, maybe you needed to launch a year and a half ago, right? Maybe it would have been way better if you did that than, 3 years ago. Okay, so now that we've got a bit of the framework, a bit of the structure, I'm curious to dive into the actual business as it is now with everything you've learned over the last 18 months. Because I was looking through your site, it looks like you've got sort of a group model, and I'm curious if that's group or if it's just a mastermind, like online thing, but you've got the one-on-one, you've got the VIP days. So would you give us like the broad overview of the business, the offer, even starting from like, who are you helping? What are you doing? And then how are the ways that they help? And then we'll go into leads and delivery and all that kind of stuff if you're cool with that.
Yeah, yeah, man, for sure. So actually quite new for me because then about a couple months ago, I brought on another a consultant to help me scale because I knew I couldn't do it the way I was doing it. Now, this specific consultant runs multiple seven-figure companies on 5 hours a week. So he works 15 hours a week and runs three seven-figure companies, and so off of five of each. He's very methodical and surgical, and I was like, "Ooh, that's the kind of life I want to be
Yeah.
about," you know. And so basically, how I started out, like I said, I launched a bunch of paid ads through Instagram, right? I'd get leads coming in, and I'd have DM conversations with them, book them into a sales call, have the sales call, sell them on the one-to-one coaching, right? That was pretty much it. And then I kind of dump all the one-to-one guys into just sort of a free community called the Dad Nation Coalition. And so the guys that I coach, and I said this in the beginning, but high-performing men or career-driven men who want to reclaim their home health and happiness without sacrificing their career success. So my three things are, when I say home health happiness, what I'm talking about is their marriage, right? Or their key relationships, marriage, fatherhood, their fitness, and their mindset. Okay, and so these guys are high-level business owners, CEOs, VPs, you name it, entrepreneurs, who have seen a bunch of professional success, but their life is a bit of a personal mess. So maybe they lost connection with their spouse, they're on the verge of divorce, maybe they gained 30, 40, 50 pounds. Or they're insecure, battling with the imposter syndrome, you name it, losing their cool, snapping at the kids, you name it. It's like, I'm not the executive coach. I'm the guy who's the executive whisperer, if you will, who's helping him understand how to lead at home as powerfully as he does in the boardroom. So that's kind of who I serve. But what happened was all of a sudden my calendar just got bombed with one-to-one clients. And then I was like, I need to scale, and so I need to go into group coaching instead. And so real recently, I've launched 2 or 3 new options. And so I'm not going to be doing a lot of one-to-one coaching. Instead, I'm putting more and more intention into the community, which is called the Dad Nation Coalition. And so that comes with basically, a custom nutrition plan, a custom training plan. And, it's the network of like-minded men. You get it. And then biweekly group coaching calls. And I'm giving them all access to my courses, which is the lowest ticket offer, which is I didn't have before. And I'm literally starting to record that this weekend. It's called the High Performance Husband. And it's essentially everything that I teach in my one-to-one coaching. It's basically a trilogy of programs: the foundation, the connection, and the code, which is, again, your fitness, your marriage, and your mindset. And so that is my low ticket offer, right? So if the community is too expensive for you, or if it's out of reach, or the one-to-one coaching isn't accessible for you, then the High Performance Husband is the lowest ticket. Now, the reason why I did that is because I also need more capacity, more margin. I need to automate some income, and so basically, lowest ticket is the High Performance Husband online trilogy. They can buy each individual one, or they can buy them in a bundle. The second tier is the coach, or the community, right? Group coaching, the Dad Nation Coalition, and then the third option is the one-to-one coaching, and then the fourth, which is certainly for like maybe the 1%, is the VIP day with me, which I will meet them anywhere in the world, and we do 8 hours together, intensive. Whatever they want to talk about, big breakthroughs, big transformations, for one entire day. And that is actually just more of for the coaches listening, that's more of a price anchor. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, if they see you at, a 30 grand for a VIP day, then if you're going to be charging 10K for your one-to-one, it's like, well, that's a lot better of a deal, or then the group community is like, oh, that's only 6K. Well, that's just a hell of a lot less than 30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Versus saying, well, the community is 6. And it's like, well, that's a lot of money. I mean, it's all about pricing psychology. So anyways, that's the 4 sort of tickets. And that's really what I've been stepping into now after the last, 18 months, and being like, okay, just one-to-one is just not sustainable. I need to increase my impact, increase my exposure. And if I can spend 1 hour bi-weekly with 20 men, the transformations, the testimonials I'm going to get is like 20x, right? So that makes a heck of a lot more sense. So that's kind of what I'm up to right now.
Awesome. And I love group stuff for guys as well. Like the group itself is for me a selling feature for men. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, I didn't know I needed this. It's like, yeah, exactly. I don't have to even say anything. You guys talk, be seen by each other. So I love that you're doing that. Do you have any team members right now?
Yeah, that's so that is another big concept, because that I think a lot of coaches get wrong, and what causes them to burn out is because they try to do too much on their own, right?
Mhm.
So, for example, launching the podcast, I was spending like 4 hours for sure editing each episode, more sometimes depending on how terrible the speaker was and all the ums and stuff you had to edit out. And so I did a quick calculation. I'm like, how much is this costing me in time versus like, when I look at my billable hours, I'm like, this costs me $1,200 per episode. This is outrageous, outrageous. And I'm like hired an editor from the Philippines to do it for $100 an episode. But it took me like 12 months to figure that out, and it instantly got back that was like 16 hours a month, dude. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's wild.
For what, $200, $300, $400 a month? I mean, but that's the thing. We think about time. We don't want to pay the money because we think, we're too cheap, right? And I'm like, my mentor we were talking about this the other day, and he said, when you're paying someone else, you're not just buying their services, you're buying their energy, right? You're buying their energy and their skills, because we all get 60 minutes to an hour, right? But the moment you hire an editor, then you get 120 minutes in that hour. When you hire a VA, you get 180 minutes into that hour. So now you get 3 hours work in the case of, in 1 hour. And we go, why? This is what we do. And so, yeah, is it going to cost a little bit extra money? Yeah. But the impact and what you're able to accomplish, and the more clarity and focus you have to be fully present with your clients is like, I mean, I pay 2x what I'm paying now for all these different things, right? Easy. Yeah. So for me, that's been a big thing to free up time. So my team, right now I have a VA, a virtual assistant who handles my emails and my podcast bookings and all that stuff. I have an editor who does all my editing. So I record one episode, I hit record and finish and send it off to her, and that's it. She takes care of the YouTube, the clips, all that stuff. I have an AI bot on my Instagram who runs the DMs, and an overseer, like a manager, and he basically manages the chats and pushes anything to me. So, I mean, I have gotten, so that's 3 people and a bot that are working, for me, right?
Okay, awesome. Thank you for the breakdown on that. And I want to have a quick side note here. Specifically when you're working with guys in such I'm just going to say soul capacity. That's how I felt. It's like, yeah, you could be a better dad, but you got to be a better husband. You got to be a better husband. You got to be a better man. To be a better man, dude, we got to talk about what's driving you, what your wounds are, like all of this kind of stuff that gets to like, ooh, now I feel like I'm naked in front of you. We got to go deep. Like that's what it was like for me to work with guys. And at some point, I felt like I was carrying the spiritual weight of my community. And that was a lot. And you said, it was a lot to have all these one-on-one calls in there. Did you navigate that better than I did? Which is to say, have you ever felt in working with these guys that, I'm taking on a lot of their spiritual baggage, emotional baggage, like it's actually starting to weigh you down? Whether you yourself felt like the product at any point, like talk to me about working with guys on such an intimate capacity, because you're not just teaching them how to start a podcast, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a great question. Really, really, really firm boundaries, right? Number one. And then I've always actually been really good at compartmentalizing, right, and containing things. I was a pastor for many, many years, and I would always tell people, I'm not really a great pastor. I'm not the most caring, loving, you know what I mean? I'm not the shepherd,
Sure.
the guy who's going to be doing the hospital visitation and all those different things. I'm more of an executor, and so when I stepped into leadership positions where I'm thinking strategically, creatively, managing budgets, overseeing the larger picture vision, that was much better suited for me, because I don't necessarily carry the weight of people as much emotionally. I'm not, yeah. So I think part of that is a bit of nature with me. I can handle that. Um, and I'm thankful for that. But one big mistake I did make when I started coaching is that I gave people too much access to me,
Mm-hmm.
right? They have my cell number, whatever. And then like they would text and they would call. And I would encourage any coach listening, and this is true not just for coaching, but in any area of your life, you will get what you tolerate in every area, right?
Yeah.
And what you tolerate, you permit, right? So you don't have to give them your verbal permission. It's just by tolerating it, you're giving them permission. And so whether it's your kids, screaming at you, or whether it's your boss who's disrespecting you or whatever, or it's a client who's taking advantage of you, who's texting you, who's emailing you, who's whatever, because we all got baggage. I get that. But part of understanding this working relationship, and I say this often, I'm not here to be your buddy, right? I'm not here to be your best friend. Buddies tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, and I'm going to be firm with you. I will be your coach, not your crutch. And they're very, very different. Okay. Here are the standards of our communication, our engagement, right? And we're going to talk over this system, whether it's Slack, whether it's, you name it. And then we're going to have these calls this time, right? We don't reschedule, we don't cancel, we don't whatever. And so you very clearly set the expectation, and you choose what you tolerate. And so that's been really helpful for me. And I say that because I don't necessarily have to take on. At the beginning, I'd be getting texts all the time, right? Or just like way more communication than really what they were paying for, if you want to say it like that, or you're giving them too much access. But what people don't realize is when you're starting out, you just want to help people. You want to help people, right? But you got to understand that comes at a cost, right?
Totally.
And so just because they're texting you, don't mean that, yeah, you might be helping, but don't make the mistake to think that you're not paying a price too, right?
Yeah.
So
well said. This is exactly what I wanted of this podcast, because I needed to have heard that 2-3 years ago as I got into this game. Because I was the one who was like, I can't do anything compartmentalized. I only have one compartment and it all better fit in there. My wife gets so mad. She's like, you're doing it again. It's like, it's got to be the most meaningful thing. It's got to be the most like spiritually and moral thing. It's got to be the most like making money thing all at once. Like, just separate the areas of your life. And that's, for me, honestly, a lot of the last 18 months have been like, okay, here's this, here's this, here's this. What does that look like? So anyway, I'm really glad you shared that, because that was very real for me. And because coaching is kind of wishy-washy, man. Like, anybody goes, oh, I'm a coach now. And it's like, okay, I guess so. But like, nobody even knows what that means. What are you actually doing? Are you just like, are you helping them? Are you being with them all the time? Or are you just challenging them? Are you never available? And one thing that I have actually really enjoyed recently is that our priest does not meet with guys more than once a month. And reading between the lines, I'm guessing part of it is because, first of all, he's busy. But second of all, it's like, dude, I have wanted to call him before the monthly talks. I'm like, oh, I can't. Like, I've got to figure this out now with what he told me last time.
Mm-hmm.
And working with guys, especially, I know this to be true. It's like, man, when you put the pressure on them to figure it out, they're going to do it, as long as they've got a little bit of that access coming back. We're like, oh, okay, now I did this thing. Now what? So anyway, really well said. I'm glad you did that. Thank you. Can we dive into the next steps. You talked about podcasts, you talked about Instagram, you're getting leads through that, through the ads. You're still bringing them onto a sales call. How are you funneling guys between the different programs or products that you have? You're a coach, you've got a message, so why is it still so hard to make sales to people that you know need your help? Podcasting changed my business forever because it builds trust at scale. If you're ready to finally stop getting so many rejections on sales calls, book a free coaching call with me. I'll show you how to launch a podcast that drives real business. Go to proclaimpodcasting.com/coach right now. I offer one free coaching call to any coach that needs it. Now back to the show.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I realized real quick that, like I said earlier, that I needed to expand my lead flow, and also my target demographic typically don't really hang out on Instagram that much, and so I was doing a lot of things that they work. Obviously, they work. I mean, they work, but do they work as good as they could? No, they don't. And that part of that is, I think understanding in the coaching business, knowing when to pivot. So for me, it was like the big move that I'm making right now is, again, challenged with how I'm spending my time versus my money. Again, my mentor said, here's what you can do. You can spend 60 minutes sending emails, right? Or you can spend 60 minutes talking on a podcast where that podcast has cultivated a following that has 20,000 listeners, 50,000 listeners, whatever, for free. So he's like, what do you think is going to make you the most money? Sending 4 emails or talking to 30,000 potential clients? And not only that, but staying, that episode staying on their on their whole list for years. You talk about evergreen or leads that will just continue to come in. And so for me, I was like, yeah, like a lot of my clients, like the CEOs, the VPs, all these people who are really higher up in leadership positions, they actually don't have time to be scrolling social media. But a lot of them listen to leadership podcasts. A lot of them listen to, business podcasts and entrepreneurial podcasts and all that stuff. And here's the thing. If somebody sees an ad and they DM me, or I DM them and they respond, they are the coldest of the cold traffic. They know nothing about me. But if I go on a podcast and I spend 60 minutes talking about my, sharing some concept or some framework that's blowing their minds, or I'm sharing a client testimonial, or I'm, they're getting to know me for an hour, right? And so essentially my next move now is actually, I'm going to basically setting what I'm doing on Instagram. It's going to happen on an autopilot. I got the bot, got the manager. They're overseeing the DMs, they're lining up sales calls, which is great. But I literally, Kurt, this is brand new. As of like 2 weeks ago, I just signed up for Pod Pitch, which I don't know if you know what Pod Pitch is, but it's like an automated AI software that takes your biography, takes all your credentials, takes everything, and it has a database of like 6 million podcasts. And it starts sending pitches to these podcasts wherever you want them to, whether it's all over North America, you name it. And they're actually brilliant, and they're crafted per each podcast, and it's done really, really well. And basically just a quick pitch and a bio and saying, hey, we'd love to have this guest, we'd love to have Mitchell Osmond on your show. And so that gets sent out from 9 to 5 every single day, Monday to Friday. And it saved me hundreds and hundreds of hours of research and work. And so that gets sent out. And then my VA basically just takes out of all the emails that come in where people respond and they're like, hey, I'd love to have you on the show. She just kind of fills out the application and books me in to talk on the shows. I've even actually, I've selected the parameters of, like, for example, in my situation, I'm making guest appearances on podcasts with audiences of 10,000 listeners or more, right? So I'm not necessarily doing the smaller podcast because it's not really worth my time as much, right? So that's the big move for me right now is I'm going to spend the next 3 months just like getting on tons and tons of podcasts, because you're leveraging someone else's community that they've cultivated, that they've grown. Why not, right? And then collaborate. And the best part is if it's a great relationship, you have them on your show and you got a high level guest on your show. And it's for the most part free outside of, your VA or whoever's managing it, right?
Dude, that's huge. Okay, I have just been looking into this strategy myself. There's a guy, maybe you know him too. I think his name's Dustin. I can't remember his last name, but his whole thing is like grow 7-figure business with podcast guesting. So if
Yes.
you haven't looked at his stuff, yeah, go through that. And that's, I think, man, everything that is personalized over the coming 5, 10, 15 years, even like the next year, man, anything personalized, service oriented, real life is going to be even more valuable than ever, because like even over the last couple of years, man, it's like you can see the M dash coming from a mile away. It's like, oh, it's Chat GPT. It's like, oh, are you even talking to a real person? And then there's like this, did Apple just reveal like for sales calls now, it's like pass a screening test, but then you could also just be using 11 Labs to like have an AI voice to do that. So it's like, man, there's a million things that are going to happen. But these conversations where there's a little bit of a hiccup here, there's a little bit of a hiccup there. It's like, oh, it's a real person. I feel seen. My core human needs are still there, but in a world that's increasingly, I don't know, man, flat.
Yeah.
It's just like these things are going to have an outsized impact. So I think podcasting, coaching are like, that's the sweet spot over the, whatever, the next internet gold rush, if you will. And because people are going to be so tuned into reality and how the people make them feel, I think a lot of charlatans will be swept out. So hopefully it's going to be great for the quote unquote industry over the next few years. And
I'll just jump into, and if you're listening to this, in-person experiences, right? So my community, we just had a mastermind and retreat in the Rocky Mountains out in Banff. Powerful. I mean, guys flew from around the country and in the States as well. So you're like, I am craving connection like that. And so don't sell yourself short, or don't miss out on an opportunity, because people will pay huge amounts to have an authentic, real experience like that with other like-minded men. It's massive. So yeah, I agree with you 100%, Kurt. Like, that is where we're moving. Real life, real people. We're going analog, baby.
Yes, man. I'm so pumped. My wife is like, I am an old-fashioned version of a human. Like, I'm an analog human anyway. So
Yeah.
I'm excited for her to be in her element. By the way, do people pay extra to come to this live event?
Yes.
If they're in your groups? Okay.
They get an invitation to the event.
Right.
Because this isn't, you can't buy, like, you only hear about this if you've been invited. You understand what I mean? I don't talk about it really publicly. I mentioned that it's happening, but the only people who really get access to it are current clients of mine. And then when you get an invitation, you can choose to then purchase a ticket for it. So, but again, that's just the where we're moving, right? So if you wanted to open it up to everyone, it's like, oh yeah, $100, $100, $200, you can come. It just cheapens the whole experience. I cap it at 20 men only. It does not matter who you are. Once the 20 are in, the door's closed. That's it. Right. So
did you have someone helping you with event planning for that, or was it all just you?
It was all me, and it was brutal.
Yeah, dude, I've been thinking about that with the in-person events being, like we just talked about, so big, but I'm like, am I going to pull that off, or is this where I hire somebody? So talk to me about that just briefly, because I want to finish out with the delivery and, just wrap it up with where people can find more about you. But talk to me about the event a little bit.
Yeah, man. So for us, I'm all about, practicality. Men specifically we need to get out of our heads and into our hands. We got to do stuff. We need tactical principles. We need to, all those different things. And so that's why for me, the marriage component is very, very, tactical, and the mindset as well. But even the fitness piece, we have to exercise. We have to move our bodies. So anyways, so it was the DNC, or the Dad Nation Coalition Mastermind and Retreat. And essentially all it was, man, was there was 3 mastermind sessions, one on Friday night, one on Saturday, one on Sunday morning. There was a training session, right? Together, a group class, like a boot camp. And then we did a hike into Howling Peak, which if you're around Western Canada, it's one of the most popular hikes in the Rocky Mountains. And then, we did tons of like just chilling in the hot tub, eating great food. I booked a bunch of really nice reservations and some great restaurants and stuff. had some incredible conversations. Just like if you're going to do something like this, make sure you book places where you can book like a private room where you can actually hear each other talk, because the conversation that happens around food, and just hanging out. I mean, we've been doing this since the beginning of time. When we eat together, we talk, we connect, and so there's value around being around the same table. We had conversations on the Saturday night that months later, I still get guys texting me about, like, man, I'm still unpacking what he said, or whatever. And so, yeah, great food, time to reflect, to just, leisure, hot tubs, mastermind sessions, training, and then a hike into the mountains. That's what we did, and it was powerful. Yeah.
Love that. Okay. Thanks for the inspiration. That's
Hey,
amazing.
dude, you know what? I'm always down for a collab, bro. We want to bring our communities together, make something epic. We'll meet in the middle, right? It'd be great.
Sweet. All right, man. Let's talk the last thing about just delivery of this, because you talked about one-on-one, filling up the calendar, you move into group. What are you actually doing as a coach? Are there any tools or whatever? You mentioned a couple of bots already, but what does a coaching experience look like for one of your clients?
Yeah, so immediately I started doing weekly sessions, which again, my mentor was like, you're insane. Any kind of higher capacity leader doesn't even have time for weekly sessions. Also, you make them dependent on you by meeting them that much. You're working way too much and you're giving them too much access. He said, double your prices on half your sessions. I was like, you insane? Are you insane? He's like, yeah. So I just immediately increased my prices and I went to bi-weekly sessions. Right. And, my mentor was like, think about it like this, man. If you go to a Mercedes dealership, if your client goes to a Mercedes dealership and he's looking for a Mercedes and they're all 90 grand, 100 grand, and they see this other Mercedes in the side of the parking lot and it's like 6 grand, 7 grand, but it's the same year, all that stuff. What's your first thought? I was like, the engine must be blown, right? Sure, they say it's great, but it can't be that good if it's that cheap, right? And to understand pricing psychology. So what I did was I increased my prices to reflect the value that I give, right? And so not pricing yourself based on what other people are doing. That's BS. Price yourself on the value. Can you save a person from having to pay 18 grand for a divorce lawyer, or going through divorce and losing half their net worth? Can you save them from that? Okay, well, let your pricing reflect that if you're actually bringing that kind of value. So what I do, man, is, so like I said, the VIP day, which is the highest ticket offer, 30K, whatever you want. It's like all access. And then you get the course, you get the community, you get everything with that, right? The one-to-one coaching package, which is bi-weekly sessions for 4 months. That's it. They say it takes 90 days to form a habit. So we go 120, really kind of get some disciplines dialed in. 4 months, bi-weekly sessions. And then the next level is the community, which is the Dad Nation Coalition, which same thing. It's paid community. It's 12 months, like a year-long journey together. And then the lowest ticket, and that's bi-weekly calls. And then the lowest ticket is the High Performance Husband, which is that on the trilogy of programs. And so it's all bi-weekly. So if you end up being a one-to-one client, you technically could get weekly help because you get bi-weekly calls with me, and then you could jump into the community as well. The community is a bolt-on to my one-to-one clients, but my sweet spot and really what I'm leaning into is actually the community. I'm going to be taking less and less one-to-ones, and I'm going to be focusing more and more time and energy into the community, right?
Got it. Okay. Dude, that makes a lot of sense. I'm glad we caught you at this sort of inflection point, because I think a lot of people can relate to everything over the last 18 months, and a lot of people want to know, okay, well, what's the next step? And it seems like you're feeling pretty good about this. I mean, maybe you're just like super even-keeled guy, which obviously if you're helping people to be even-keeled, I'm sure you are. But where does that come from? Like you said, you were sort of high-level positions before. Are you just like super confident about this? You've seen it work. You're surrounded by people who have had it work. Or is there some sort of like, I don't actually know if this is going to go forward? How are you at on the confidence scale with all this?
I'm like, that's a great question, man. No one's ever asked me that question. I am naturally, so when we talk about spiritual gifts and stuff, I have the gift of faith, belief, right? So I just naturally have I would say a supernatural ability to believe, to have faith in God, but then that reflects in our own life too. Like I believe strongly in my wife and our marriage. Like with the things that I care about, I really, really believe in. So yeah, there is a bit of that nature for sure in me of like, I naturally am, when I go in on something, come hell or high water, it's happening, right? But the second part is, again, I paid people a lot of money to coach me, to craft these offers, to craft this community, to craft these, the structure and all that stuff. And so when I don't have confidence in myself, I have confidence in them and the system. And these people are making a lot more money than me, and they're doing a lot more things than me. And so the best thing I can do is to listen. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And because
Yeah.
even my wife said to me the other day, she's like, I'm like, because my coach challenged me. He's like, well, the VIP day thing. He was like, you got to do that, man. You got to do it. I'm like, man, I can't. That's a lot of money. I can't ask for that kind of money, right? And so my
Yes.
wife was like, why would you pay so much money to get access to this community and not take their advice? Are you insane? Like, that's the definition of burning your money. And I was like, babe, nailed it. You got it. The best thing I should be doing is actually like going forward with this. So yeah,
Yes.
man, that's where I'm at. I am fairly confident, but I'm more confident in the community that I've invested in to teach me these systems, because I don't want to burn out and I don't want to quit, flame out early, right? So
Man, you should send that to all of your clients. I just do what my coaches say, and that's why I'm so confident. And I'm going to win. That was really good. All right, dude. This has been such a good breakdown, like very methodical, very helpful, and I really appreciate everything you've shared. I think it's going to a lot of help. I think it's going to help everyone who's going to listen to this. Where can people find you?
yeah, man, you can find me, like, you can go anywhere, Dad Nation Co, right? So Instagram, YouTube, the website is dadnationco.com. I'm on LinkedIn. It's garbage because I don't understand it. And Facebook is garbage. I don't get that either. So I'm like nothing on there, but definitely do a lot of my communications through that. If you want to reach out and connect with me personally, you can just email me at mitchell@dadnationco.com and be happy to help on your journey, as growing into a budding coach or wherever you're at in your journey. Again, I'm not selling anything. I just love talking to other coaches about the journey they're on, just like you, Kurt. So, yeah, if anyone's listening, you have any questions, fire me an email or hit me up on the DMs, and we'll try to bypass the bot and we can have a conversation.
Oh, that was right. That's what happened to our DMs. You're like, oh, I just deleted that bot. I'm like, okay. But no, I love it, man. I know what's going on, so I'm not offended.
Yeah.
All right, guys, this has been The Real Coach Show by Proclaim Podcasting. We'll see you next week.